Hello. Welcome back to Coffee and Trailers. I'm Warith, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for House of the Dragon. Now, what does House of the Dragon means? It means Game of Thrones is back, because this is based off of George R.R. Martin's book Fire and Blood, and it takes place 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones. Now, I got into season 1, and I didn't even like it. This is before anybody was really watching the show, and I just didn't like it. So then I rewatched season 1 before season 2, and then I just realized how much I had missed. And then season 2 is when everybody started liking the show. I would rewatch each season. So when season 3 came out, I rewatched season 1 and 2. When season 4 came out, I rewatched seasons 1 through 3 and then got to the 4th. I was about that life. So I will be doing video breakdowns for each episode. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe now so you can check out those future episodes.
Gods. Kings.
The trailer starts off being narrated by Matt Smith, who's going to be playing Daemon Targaryen. We see the skull of Balerion the Black Dread, and he was named after the ancient god of Valyrian Freehold, and was the dragon of House Targaryen, and was written by Aegon Targaryen I during the conquest. He was the largest of all the Targaryen dragons, and you might remember seeing the skull of Balerion the Black Dread during the Game of Thrones season when Cersei was talking to Qyburn and they showed the skull. Remember, Robert Baratheon was the one who couldn't stand seeing the skulls, so he had them put under the Red Keep. We see the famous pin of the Hand of the King, and if you've been watching Game of Thrones, if there's one thing that we learned about this pin is that the wearer of it doesn't really have a long-term shelf life. And the Hand of the King in House of the Dragon is going to be Otto Hightower, played by Rhys Ifans. And you may remember him from The Amazing Spider-Man as the Lizard. But it really didn't work out too well for a lot of former Hands of the King. We have a shot of Viserys Targaryen, and he's going to be played by Paddy Considine. And you may remember him from the Bourne Ultimatum from the train scene. Well, Viserys Targaryen also got a chance to ride Balerion the Black Dread before dying of old age.
Fire. And blood.
This is young Rhaenyra, and she's going to be played by Millie Alcock. And despite Dan and Dave never wanting to do flashbacks in the prior Game of Thrones, and Ned Stark, the Tower being one of my favorite episodes, they're going to do a lot more flashbacks in House of the Dragon. Now, without getting too spoilery, Rhaenyra has a situation going on with her brother that's kind of similar to the Jon Snow-Daenerys situation for certain claims for the throne. We have another shot of Daemon Targaryen and the older Rhaenyra Targaryen, who's going to be played by Emma Darcy, and they are married. And Daemon Targaryen is the brother of Viserys Targaryen, the current king. And Rhaenyra Targaryen is the daughter of Viserys. So that would make Daemon Rhaenyra's uncle. And you know how those Targaryens are about that incest. A shot of Daemon Targaryen in his black armor. He's wielding Dark Sister, which was the Valyrian steel sword that originally belonged to Visenya Targaryen, the sister wife of Aegon Targaryen, and the sword was ultimately lost generations later during the Blackfyre Rebellion. This is a shot of Corlys Velaryon, also known as the Sea Snake, and he's married to Rhaenys Targaryen, and their children are Laena and Laenor. And both the Velaryons and the Targaryens both have Valyrian blood in them, which would explain the white hair. And I have a feeling that this scene is from the past because I know younger Rhaenyra was married to Corlys' son Laenor. This is a shot of Mysaria, who was a former slave prostitute from Essos, and I think she has a similar story as Varys because she makes her way to King's Landing. This is Otto Hightower, who is married to Viserys Targaryen and the current queen. And the overall conflict on the show is going to be between her side, which are the Greens, and Rhaenyra Targaryen's side, which are referred to as the Blacks. But as you can also see in this scene, she's carrying a Valyrian steel dagger, which was the exact same dagger that Arya Stark was using in the Game of Thrones season. And if you watch the show, you know that dagger was definitely put to good use. In the back of Alicent, you can see the King's Guard, and they're not wearing their typical gold armor like they did in Game of Thrones. Their armor is silver. You see one of the more recognizable sigils of Game of Thrones, the wolf, the sigil of House Stark. Now, in this time period, Cregan Stark is Lord of Winterfell, and he was known as the Wolf of the North, which is a lot better than what Robb Stark was calling himself, the Young Wolf. This is a shot of the younger Alicent and the younger Rhaenyra watching the games. We also see the sigil of House Tarly. Shout out to Sam Tarly.
Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
Now, this was one of my favorite parts of the trailer, the throne. Now, this isn't the throne that we're used to seeing. This throne is a little more book accurate. And this is what the throne looks like from the book. And this is what the throne looks like to what we're used to seeing. So I really like how this throne has melted swords everywhere and has more of an aggressive look as you walk towards it. So did this trailer pull you in? Because I didn't need no stinking Game of Thrones trailer to pull me in. I was already into Game of Thrones before the trailer came out. And when I found out last year that they were doing a prequel series on the Targaryens, I was excited. Because what has this world missed the past few years? New episodes of Game of Thrones. And I'm not one of those people who were butthurt about the last season of Game of Thrones, because what did Dan and Dave tell you? There weren't going to be no new seasons. And George R.R. Martin isn't even finished with the books. So they literally had to rush everything and give you everybody's story arc within the remaining 2 episodes. So therefore, I wasn't really that mad at it, and they paid off everybody's storyline. Look at the history of HBO. You know? They're like that boyfriend that cheated on you and keeps cheating on you, and then you keep giving them another chance. Quit giving HBO all these chances to come up with good season finales, because they're not going to do it. So, what was your favorite scene in this trailer? What's your favorite season of Game of Thrones? Let me know in the comments. And as always, until next time.
When the streets peak, can't nobody tell me ain't that guy. I'm back to the future, boy, I'm McFly.